Ferrari says the Purosangue is not an SUV. The company calls it something completely different. But whatever name Ferrari wants to use, one thing is certain. The 2026 Ferrari Purosangue is one of the most insane vehicles ever built. It has a naturally aspirated V12 engine, more than 700 horsepower, a top speed approaching 200 miles per hour, and enough luxury to rival some of the world's most expensive Grand Tourers. On paper, it sounds perfect. But after all the hype, there are 4 major problems that many buyers don't discover until it's too late. And the last one might be the most frustrating of all. Before we get to those problems, it's easy to understand why people are obsessed with this machine. The moment you see the Purosangue, it doesn't look like a traditional luxury SUV. The long hood, aggressive stance, sculpted bodywork, and Ferrari-inspired proportions make it look like a supercar that somehow grew 4 doors. Everywhere it goes, it attracts attention. People stop, stare, and pull out their phones. Then there's the engine. In a world where manufacturers are replacing large engines with hybrids and smaller turbocharged units, Ferrari did something almost unbelievable. They gave the Purosangue a 6.5-liter naturally aspirated V12. Every press of the throttle unleashes a sound that's becoming increasingly rare in the automotive world. It screams, growls, and roars in a way that reminds you why Ferrari remains one of the most iconic performance brands on Earth. The performance numbers are equally insane. 0 to 60 in just over 3 seconds. A top speed exceeding 190 miles per hour. For a vehicle with 4 doors and enough room for passengers, those numbers are almost difficult to believe. But that's where we arrive at problem number 1. The price isn't just expensive, it's shockingly expensive. Most people see the starting price and assume that's what wealthy buyers pay. Not even close. Ferrari's options catalog is where things become truly outrageous. Special paint colors, carbon fiber trim, upgraded wheels, unique leather combinations, personalized stitching, and exclusive materials can add tens of thousands of dollars incredibly fast. Some owners have spent enough on optional extras to purchase an entire luxury sedan. Think about that for a moment. The options alone can cost more than many brand new vehicles, and that's before taxes, registration fees, insurance, and dealer premiums enter the picture. But surprisingly, that's not the problem that frustrates many buyers the most, because once you've somehow justified the price, another issue starts to appear. The Purosangue is an incredible performance machine, but Ferrari had to make compromises to achieve that performance. The low roofline looks beautiful. The aggressive proportions look stunning, but they also create problem number 2. It isn't as practical as many people expect. Now, don't get me wrong, compared to most Ferraris, it's incredibly practical, but compared to traditional luxury SUVs, it's a different story. Rear cargo space is more limited than many buyers anticipate. Taller passengers may notice less headroom than in competing luxury SUVs. And if your goal is maximizing family utility, there are vehicles costing far less that provide significantly more space and convenience. Ferrari clearly prioritized driving excitement over practicality, and honestly, that's probably the right decision. Because the moment you take the Purosangue onto an open road, many of those compromises begin to make sense. The steering feels incredibly precise. The chassis remains remarkably composed. The vehicle changes direction with an agility that seems impossible for something of this size. Many reviewers have described it as feeling more like a high-performance Grand Tourer than a traditional SUV. But then comes problem number 3, and this is where ownership can become painful. Buying the Purosangue is only the beginning of the financial commitment. The V12 may sound incredible, but it also consumes fuel at a rate that can surprise even wealthy owners. Insurance premiums can be enormous due to the vehicle's value and performance potential. Those massive performance tires wear out faster than many people realize, and replacing them is far from cheap. Then there are maintenance costs. Even routine service appointments can cost more than what some people spend maintaining an entire vehicle for a year. Every component is engineered to Ferrari standards, which means repairs and replacement parts often come with Ferrari-sized bills. For some buyers, these expenses are simply part of the ownership experience. For others, they're an unpleasant surprise. But here's the thing. Even after hearing all these drawbacks, many people still want one. And that's because Ferrari got something very important right. The Purosangue feels special. Every drive feels like an occasion. Every tunnel becomes an opportunity to hear that V12 sing. Every glance back at the vehicle after parking reminds you that you're looking at something genuinely unique. Which brings us to problem number 4. And for many potential buyers, this is the biggest problem of all: actually getting one. Most people assume that if they have enough money, they can simply walk into a Ferrari dealership and place an order. That's not always how Ferrari operates. Ferrari carefully controls production, numbers to maintain exclusivity. Demand often exceeds supply. Waiting lists can stretch for months or even years depending on the market. Existing Ferrari customers frequently receive priority treatment, while new buyers may find themselves waiting much longer than expected. In some cases, buyers are willing to pay substantial premiums simply to avoid lengthy delays. Imagine finally deciding to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on your dream Ferrari, only to discover that getting one may not be nearly as straightforward as you imagined. That's the reality many buyers face. And yet, despite all 4 of these problems, the Purosangue continues to attract enormous attention. Because at the end of the day, there really isn't anything else quite like it. It's not the most practical luxury SUV, it's not the cheapest, it's not the easiest vehicle to own, and it's certainly not the easiest vehicle to buy, but it delivers something many competitors cannot: emotion. The sound of that naturally aspirated V12, the breathtaking design, the exclusivity, the sense that you're driving something truly special every time you start the engine. That's why the 2026 Ferrari Purosangue is absolutely insane. But now you know the 4 problems that many people rarely talk about. The outrageous option costs, the surprising practicality compromises, the expensive ownership experience, and the frustrating challenge of actually getting one. For some buyers, those issues are enough to walk away. For others, they're simply the price of admission to one of the most extraordinary Ferraris ever created.